For my project, I made multimodal Tetris where you can control the block using speech and gesture, and now we're going to go right into a demo of my friend playing it.
Help!
To turn clockwise, flick your right hand up or say turn. Try it with this block.
Oh, that's cool. Next.
To turn counterclockwise, say turn back. To turn 180 degrees, say flip. Try it with this block.
Turn back. Flip. Flip. Turn back. Turn back. Next.
To move your block point with your right hand to the position on the screen that you want to move it to. Try it with this block.
Wow, that's cool. Wow, here we go. Next.
To drop your block into place, point your left hand to the screen and flick it down or say drop or down. Try it with this block.
Next.
To replace your piece with the one in the hold box, say hold or open your right palm towards the screen.
Oh. Hold. Flip. Flip.
Nice.
So I guess it's screwed down there, huh? Oh, shoot.
Oh, you can put it there. Oh, you can use the yellow one.
Okay.
You have to. Oh, go, 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 go! Yay!
Oh.
Oh, that was scary.
I cleared one line.
Oh no!
Not bad. Oh, I put down the other one also? Wait.
No, it's showing the shadow. Oh, it thinks your left hand is still there. It won't move if your left hand is there.
Well, I'm kind of bad at this.
It's okay. It's the learning curve. Take both your hands out and then it'll fix it. Yeah, the motion sensor is not great sometimes.
Oh, pop off.
Nice.
You lost. Would you like to play again?
No.
Alright, thanks for playing.
Great!
You.
Thank you! For my implementation, I'm not going to talk much about the game itself because that's not super related to the class. I'm just going to talk about the gesture and speech recognition. So for the gestures, I use this bleep.loop, which was the same as in Mini Project 3, but this time I'm using it based on the frame because I want for every single frame to check for both hands in the frame because we're using both your left and right hand. And basically the way that pointing works, again, this is very similar to Mini Project 3. If your right hand is detected, then it's just going to have the cursor follow where you're pointing on the screen, and then the piece will follow along. And for swiping, for the right hand, you swipe up to turn. And the way that I do that is that I store the last 10 frames for every single position of your hand, and I basically just compare the y coordinates of the start and end, and if they're far enough apart between those 10 frames, then that counts as a swipe. And the same thing for your left hand for swiping down, except I want to make that threshold a little bit higher because swiping down can be a little bit worse if you do it by accident. And finally, for the whole gesture, I compare the different parts of the palm norm. So if your z-axis if the absolute value of that is a lot higher than the other two axes, then that counts as sort of like holding your palm towards the screen, and I just check that you do that for at least 1 second before you hold the block. As for speech, the overall logic is very similar to what we had for Battleship. The only difference that I made is that when you are actually playing the game, I decrease the speech timeout so that it can hear very short commands that come one right after the other a little bit better. And then I also realized that it's not that good at telling the words apart when you're only saying one word. So I also added a few similar sounding words like this example down here. And I obtained these words just by playing it myself and watching the transcripts to see what it thinks I was saying when I was trying to say certain things. And then I just added those to the list. This brings me to my interesting failures. So the first one is, again, that the voice recognition doesn't work super well. So even with those extra words that I added, it does not a really good job when you only have one word, because I realized that the WebKit speech recognition really depends on having like a whole sentence and trying to parse like the actual meaning of it so that it makes sense. but when you only have one word there, it's hard to do that. So if I had to do this a second time, I would try to find a different API where you can put in words to look for. And other than that, I also had difficulty with dropping the block where you had to have both of your hands pointing at the screen because when they're close together, the Leap Motion API, it has trouble telling them apart, so then it would think that your right hand is actually your left hand, and that would make it hard to play the game. Finally, as a general evaluation, the system mostly works as expected, and the two players said that it was fun to play, which was the ultimate goal. And for swiping, holding, and pointing, they all worked pretty well until two hands came into play, and then the system got confused between them sometimes. And for certain speech commands, like I said, they were iffy and depended on the person playing. And some pieces that were not shown in the video was that you can say pause and start to pause and continue the game, and you can also ask how many lines you have, and there are instructions shown on the side, which I'll show at the very end here.